I don't know. Tim Walz is out there talking again.
Did you say he could fight any Trump supporter?
Yeah, he says he kicked their. They're scared of him because he could fix a truck. Like they're threatened by his masculinity. I know how to fix a truck. That's what he said. I'm like, do you? I bet you don't.
The lady doth protest too much.
I bet you don't.
I fear.
I bet if I bring a broken truck to you and a bag of tools, you're.
Joe Rogan ripped into Tim Walz with a brutal roast that showed the Minnesota governor as the perfect example of mediocrity. From his constant indecision and boring speeches to his fake tough guy act and staged photo ops, Rogan tore down every part of Walz's carefully built image. Instead of looking like a strong leader, Walz came across as a substitute teacher struggling with roll call while the classroom burned. This wasn't just a roast, it was a lesson in how to expose political irrelevance.
He believes a lot of wild things. One of them is transgender surgery for people who are under 13.
So for those out there who are wondering, aren't there something else you could be doing or doesn't seem to impact you in your life? This is what it means to show empathy. This is what it means to be welcoming.
He changed the Minnesota state flag to make it look like a Somali flag. You haven't seen that?
But our current flag is problematic. I think we all know that. We've evolved into a more diverse state, and I think it's more reflective.
Joe Rogan going after Tim Walz was like putting a deer under a bright spotlight. All of a sudden, every awkward move, every silly choice, and every overdone political act was impossible to miss. Walz has spent his career trying to look like the calm, responsible guy in the room, but Rogan tore that image apart, showing that behind the Midwest dad act is a politician about as exciting as a microwave dinner.
If that Tim Walz cocksucker, if that guy got into power, like if Kamala died and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, was our president, you know how crazy this country would be? That weirdo who puts tampons in the boys' room, and what about our joy? Like he's a complete pathological liar. Like a complete liar. Lied about being in Tiananmen Square, lied about being a fucking head coach of a football team.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Walz loves to lean on his past as a teacher, coach, and military vet, like that somehow makes him untouchable. But Rogan wasn't buying it. He ripped apart the idea that just because Walz once taught high school geography, he suddenly qualified to guide a state through chaos. Knowing the capital of Nebraska doesn't mean you can handle an economic meltdown. And coaching a football team doesn't magically prepare you to lead millions of people through a crisis. All it really means is you've yelled, "Hustle up," at a bunch of teenagers.
Well, there's more than one thing, too, right? He said he was a head coach.
Yeah, he was a head coach. He
was not a head coach. He was an assistant coach, which is an honorable thing. There's nothing wrong with being an assistant coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he also inflated his actual rank, right? He was slated to achieve a certain rank,
right?
And how did it go? Like he had to commit to the fact that he wasn't going to retire in order to achieve his rank. Is that what it was?
He didn't finish essentially the program, the coursework, for a command sergeant major.
And then there's the way Walz handles controversy. He always tries to give these long, serious answers, but it ends up sounding like a high school principal explaining why Pizza Day had to be canceled. Rogan tore into the endless pauses, the rehearsed words, and the fake wise tone that really says nothing at all. Walz doesn't make bold choices, he makes speeches that feel like political wallpaper, plain, boring, and guaranteed to make you zone out halfway through.
But what does it look? Okay, but what does it look like now?
That's what I was trying to get to.
Okay, on the left is Somali flag. On the right is the Minnesota state flag. Okay, same color as Somali flag. A white star, a different white star in it, like the Somali flag. Very different than the original Minnesota flag. And there's the video down below that. That's when he changes it out.
When it comes to handling a crisis, Walz has the instincts of a guy fumbling with his phone flashlight in a dark basement. Rogan ripped into his response during the 2020 Minneapolis chaos, pointing out how Walz managed to let everyone down at the same time. Too slow, too indecisive, and too desperate to look like he was in control while everything burned around him. If real leadership means stepping up, Walz's version was more like stepping aside and hoping nobody noticed. Rogan joked it was like watching someone try to put out a fire with a spray bottle of fizz. Lots of effort, zero results.
That's all it is, obviously.
Obviously.
There's video of Tim Walz
Yes.
doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Exact same thing. And
Yes.
he said, of course, it's a Nazi salute. He said that.
Debating, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did.
This is how crazy things have gotten. Like,
It's coordinated propaganda.
Walz's attempts to look tough only made things worse. He has this habit of puffing up his record whenever things get messy, constantly reminding people he's served in the military. Rogan wasn't having it. He joked that Walz drops his National Guard service into conversations like a guy at the gym who won't stop reminding everyone he used to bench 3 plates in college. Sure, he served, but that doesn't magically turn shaky political moves into smart strategy. Wearing a uniform years ago doesn't change the fact that his current policies are a mess. Walz runs the state like it's a bake sale, always trying to please everyone, which usually leaves nobody happy. Rogan compared it to a comedian too scared to tell edgy jokes, so instead he spends 2 hours talking about airline food.
when he changes it out. So he takes out the Minnesota state flag. Oh, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Turn the volume up, please, so you hear him say that.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
So he gets the flag, picks it up, moves it out of the way, and replaces it. Look at this.
There, that's better.
Is it?
Why is that better?
I don't know.
Why do you care what the flag looks like, first of all? And why do you get to change the flag? How crazy is that the governor gets to change the flag? Like, who else is involved in that decision to change the flag?
I was gonna ask, is that what happened?
Walz's political style isn't about bold vision. It's about blending into the wallpaper. Rogan tore apart his speeches, which sound like they were cleared by 5 committees before being read. Walz uses a mountain of words to say almost nothing. A word salad with a Midwestern accent, as Rogan put it. He's got the everyman look, but without the charm, just mediocrity in khakis. Rogan also ripped into his policies, saying Walz's economic plans feel more like half-baked experiments. He talks about fairness and balance, but the results often look like a science project gone wrong.
Motherfuckers get in charge one more time. I mean, they were talking about cracking down on hate speech online. Like, that free speech is not hate speech. That Tim Walz guy was actually saying that.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Hate speech. Free speech does not include hate speech. Like, what are you, by whose fucking definition? Yours? A guy who thinks tampons should be in the boys' room?
Rogan said watching Walz lead is like watching someone try to launch a soda bottle rocket. Lots of energy, zero chance it takes off. Even his inspiring speeches backfire. Walz talks about unity and resilience, but they land with the impact of a dentist's voicemail. Instead of fired up, people just feel ready for a nap. Rogan joked that piping one of Walz's press conferences into an airplane cabin could knock out an entire flight. Every time Walz tries to show authority, it feels forced. He doesn't project confidence. He projects the awkward energy of a substitute teacher demanding respect, only for the class to realize by lunch they can walk all over him.
When they decided that J.D. Vance was weird.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
And then they just weirds everywhere.
Weird. Oh, you don't want a weird guy. Meanwhile, you have fucking Tim Walz. Is your VP?
Weird.
You don't think that guy's weird?
Super weird.
He's weird in every way.
Yeah.
The way he walks, the way he waves his hands.
Yeah, he reminds me of the clown emoji.
He's a bizarre guy.
He's a strange dude.
I just don't
Gives me the
understand why
willies,
they made
actually.
that choice.
Yeah, it gives the creeps.
I just don't understand why they made that choice. There's a lot of other people that are qualified. I don't know why. I read that Kamala Harris made that decision when she was sleep deprived, which is kind of hilarious that she said that. So she's kind of admitting she kind of fucked.
The funniest part of Walz's image is his attempt to look both relatable and competent. He wants to be the Midwestern everyman and a brilliant leader, but Rogan exposed that he's neither. He's not relatable because real people don't talk in focus group platitudes. And he's not brilliant because great leaders don't spend half their time explaining why they acted too late. Walz ends up both forgettable and frustrating, a mix Rogan roasted with ease. He also ripped into Walz's habit of dodging accountability like it's a sport. Whenever things go wrong, Walz blames complex circumstances instead of admitting he failed. Rogan compared it to a kid making excuses for missing homework. It's never his fault, always the pencil, the dog, or Mercury in retrograde. At some point, real leadership means owning up, not passing the blame.
Because everything that we called misinformation just a few years ago, it's on the front page of the New York Times now that we were lied to.
You can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. There has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power.
The New York Times just printed a thing. Turns out we were lied to.
They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop.
Yeah, you lied to us. Yeah. You were a part.
Then came Walz's obsession with photo ops. Rogan mocked how he always looks more focused on being seen doing something than actually doing it. He's that guy who rolls up his sleeves for a press conference to look like a hardworking leader, even though a staffer just handed him notes. Rogan said Walz has perfected the art of looking busy while doing nothing, like an employee circling the office with a clipboard, tossing out fortune cookie lines about progress and unity. Compared to Trump's late-night meltdowns or Biden's clumsy relatability, Walz comes off as a placeholder, a background character in politics that nobody really cares to watch.
What do you think about Walz's descriptions of his military career? Because there's some issues there that people have. I don't know if he flat out ever said that he served in Afghanistan, but he certainly didn't dissuade people from saying that he was, when they were saying he didn't correct them.
Right.
There was things.
He didn't, and he didn't.
Rogan also went after Walz's shaky attempts at national relevance. Every time he steps onto the bigger stage, he shrinks. He wants to sound like a heavyweight, but comes off like an undercard fighter swinging at shadows. Rogan joked that Walz trying to impress the country is like bringing potato salad to a 5-star restaurant. It might work back home, but nobody wants it on the main menu. Walz sells himself as steady and practical, yet his policies wobble like a table with one short leg. Even his look became a punchline, that half smile, half frown, like a guy who just remembered he left the garage door open. Rogan said Walz could deliver bad news in the same tone he'd announce a bake sale. That's not leadership, it's customer service with a governor's seal.
Look at this.
There, that's better.
Is it?
Why is that better?
I don't know.
Why do you care what the flag looks like, first of all? And why do you get to change the flag? How crazy is that the governor gets to change the flag? Like, who else is involved in that decision to change the flag?
Is that what happened?
I don't know.
Usually it's a big event. They let people pick.
Rogan tore into Walz's constant act of trying to look balanced, as if refusing to take a stand was something admirable. In reality, it just made him look like a man stuck on a fence, too scared to fall either way. Rogan called him the Switzerland of American politics, neutral, boring, and irrelevant. And maybe the sharpest jab of all, Walz is forgettable. He doesn't inspire, he doesn't enrage, he just exists. Rogan joked that most Americans couldn't pick him out of a lineup of insurance salesmen. Walz isn't a future of politics, he's background noise, the filler you ignore while waiting for something real to happen. By the end, Rogan exposed the truth. Walz doesn't stand out because he doesn't dare to. He clings to the middle, terrified of risk, boldness, or offending anyone. But in politics, playing it safe is its own failure. A leader who never takes a stand eventually fades into invisibility. That's where Walz sits, present in title, absent in impact. Rogan's roast didn't destroy him with anger, but with the weight of his own forgettable legacy. He wasn't just roasted, his political story was closed like a book no one cares to reread.